Everybody needs an extra. It should be some like grand big thing.
There it was.
Like sparkle
Um,
and tassels and all the stuff.
I wish. But we are live. I'm Alicia. This is
Becky.
Becky. We're just gonna chat about books and writing and our usual whatnot. So I know you said last week that you might struggle this and that over this week with writing. Did you struggle?
Look, I so I graduated,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then for like 9 days after that, I totally crashed. Like anything that I was supposed to do in the last week and a half, nothing. Oh, I went to a doctor's appointment. That's it. I did nothing else. I got fed up with it yesterday and got cranky with my husband about the state of the house and the laundry. Um, because I didn't do it. So, it got done
But
ish. But that's not fair. He's busy. He's got a lot on his plate right now. But I did nothing. I wrote like once last week.
it's better than nothing. So
I did do some reading in the Save or not the Save the Cat, the Story Genius book though. So I got some of that done.
it's good.
Yeah.
Self-care is important, especially at the end of a not just a semester, not just a school year, but like got your degree. It
Well, to be
takes a
fair, it
lot
was
out of
only
you.
1 year though, because I came into the community college already having a bachelor's degree, so I didn't have to do all of the basic stuff. It was just
The fun
just
stuff
the fun stuff. Yeah, just all the photography stuff, which is great. Um,
doesn't mean it's still not time consuming and hard to juggle all of that.
it was, yeah. Particularly because Zach was gone for a month this past semester, and juggling for a little while there between the two kids, we had something going on every day of the week, and on some days of the week, two things going
It's a lot.
on. So, yeah, because we had both kids Connor was in baseball, Taylor was in t-ball. They started out the season on having practices at the same fields and on the same days, and then that switched. So it went from 2 days a week for practices, 4 days a week, and then 2 games every Saturday. So we were at the ball field like all day on Saturdays, and not even always the same ball field either. So we'd have to leave one and haul ass across town.
I remember those days.
Taylor was doing dance on Sunday afternoons for a little while. Connor had the end of basketball season overlapped with the beginning of baseball season. Both of them were in Scouts, but not together anymore because Connor graduated from Cub Scouts and moved into Boy Scouts. And so they were no longer on the same day for that. And all of it just kind of ended like in the same 1 to 2 weeks. Everything just came to a halt. And I think my mind was just like, fuck all of this. We're not doing it no more. And just kind of shut off for a little bit.
I've done that at the end of every semester. Although to be fair, the last 8 years that I did that and went to the end of the semester, I was teaching and grading 48 or more final exams, which was papers. They're not just like, oh, that's yes or no. That's me going, what did you actually think? Were your thoughts in order? And all grading writing, which is terrible.
I got a taste of that working at the high school back in North Carolina.
I feel like my
Not
ear was a puddle right here.
yeah, not English, but trying to teach subjects that I was not familiar with and grade final projects, which some of them made it really easy on me because some of them just didn't even put in any effort. But some of them, their programs were so intense, I had to sit there with like a nitpicky comb and pick it all apart just to make sure I was grading them correctly. Which was fun because as a high school teacher, then you've also got duties with everybody else's final exams, but your grades are due at the same time that everybody's final exam grades are due, when they all just get to run it through a Scantron, and you have to go through every line of code one by one. For that class, it was around 30 students a semester, plus the other projects for the other 2 classes. So
a lot.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you glad you had that experience? You can appreciate teachers more.
I miss the kids.
That is what I miss the most. I miss being in the classroom, actually teaching them things and interacting with them. And even like having the one-on-ones with them in my office for the first time, they're scared as shit because, oh no, I'm going to be one-on-one with my teacher. And by the end of it, I'm like, so is that scary? They're like, nah. I'm like, all right, now go do your work. I'd get groupies in my office.
I had bought 3, those little plushies that are reversible. So they got like the happy face and then you reverse it. It's like a sad face or a mad face. So I bought 3 of them. They were octopus. And when my students were acting out, I would flip them to the mad face and chuck them at their heads. And they thought this was great. Particularly like the first time I did it in each class. That was fun. Not gonna lie. And so some of my students, some of them wound up stealing them. Like before I moved, I went into my classroom one day, and they were there. And then I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and they were gone. It's like, okay, whatever.
Well, then they wanted a memento.
Yeah, the flying octopus. That's the whole thing.
You can hear banging that way.
Yeah, I've got this.
Not you in my kitchen.
Oh, I was gonna say I've got this thing, and it's like very unstable.
The same thing I got for my phone when I use my phone. I'm using my computer because I can plug in my fancy mic, and the sound is much better. I don't have to yell.
I'm not invested in any of that stuff.
I got this when I first started freelancing, when I made enough money to buy one just from the freelancing, and I still had a regular job, so that I could record my own audiobooks. And I've recorded one so far, and I haven't edited it yet because I really hate trying to sound like a man in an audiobook because my voice is already low enough, but trying to like lower it even further, and then I had to lift my voice for hers. I'm like, but she doesn't sound like that either. Like, this is maddening. We just need a dude for the dude.
See, that's why I can't do audiobooks like for enjoyment purposes, because like the voices don't line up in my head, and it just throws me all out of whack.
It doesn't bother me most of the time. I haven't gotten a lot of bad narrators. I've gotten one guy that sounded like he was AI, but he wasn't. He just sounded monotone. His cadence was off a little bit. I don't know. And then I had one girl who went up at the end of every sentence, and it absolutely drove me crazy.
I've found that a lot of them, because like I stumble across a lot of them on TikTok like very often, and I think it's great. I think they do a good job, and I don't know if it's just me and because of like I'm very nitpicky about it, but like to me a lot of them very much sound like they are just reading the script, like they haven't mastered mentally reading but speaking as if they're just having a conversation, so it sounds like they're just reading off of note cards, which maybe that's just I had to give so many dang speeches when I was in college that you learn to have a normal cadence at some point. But
I didn't have to give very many speeches, which is funny because I taught for so long, but then when I had to give a presentation, I was completely different feeling than just getting in front of a classroom and talking at people. Like,
it's different.
Although the last one I did, they had me be the host for some reason, and I introduced a girl, and then she said her name again, and I turned to my friend who I presented with. I'm like, "What did I say?" Because I didn't remember what I called her. Because sometimes what I say in my head and what actually comes from my mouth is not the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but she wrote something about like reversing the evil stepmother thing, and I was like, "Shit, everybody," because I'm a stepmom. So, yeah, which they all thought was hilarious. Apparently, I'm pretty good at that part of it, like talking to people just about shit, but like having to remember everything I'm supposed to say without looking down most of the time, and like trying to make eye contact and move this thing over here. Forget about it. I can't do it.
I started out as one of those where I had to have like a full-blown script to give a presentation, and then I managed to whittle it down to just having the note cards and the slides. And from that, I would generally I would be okay. The problem with that was like I got good at being able to talk about the things I was supposed to talk about, but I would also go off on tangents. So
fair.
yeah.
Very easy for us to go on tangents.
Yes.
Yes, because our brains work differently. They just like, hey, but you didn't think about this when you were writing it, but this is important. You should say, but this too over here. Don't forget. What were we talking about to begin with? I've lost it. You know, just
I was talking with my buddy Josh, and he's working on writing his debut novel, but he spent the last several weeks working on, world building and, plot devices and things along those lines. And so like he'll send me, he's in Puerto Rico, so we talk through WhatsApp, and he'll send me voice messages and just go on about the coolest little ideas that he had. And he'll be like, but I'm stuck here. I think we're gonna do it this way. And I'll send him one back and I'll ask him a question. I'll be like, oh, well, I thought I was ready to write. And one thing after another just keeps popping up. I'm like, I'm sorry.
It depends on the type of writer you are and how, I don't know, how your brain works. Because my brain works where like have a general idea of things, but I figure shit out as I go along most of the time. And then I'll be sitting there and I'm 3/4 of the way through a novel and I'll just be tired as all shit, just sitting there letting my brain do what it does. And I'd be like, I know I did that thing at the beginning of the book that also tied to this other thing that I didn't know it tied to, that other book that I wrote. And it's all going to come together like this. And I didn't know that till right this moment. But I wrote it in there. My brain was doing things in the background that I didn't know about. And that's my favorite part of writing. Which kind of sucks when I have to plan everything out for work to write a book.
I sat down one night to write, and I got through like 2,200 words in one sitting. But I was so tired, I couldn't remember anything that I wrote. And it wound up being fine. Like I went back through and I looked at it the next day and I was like, okay, this is fine. It kind of fits. It needs editing, but it fits with what I was going with. It's fine. But I thought I was thinking about it before I came back in and sat down to look at it. And I was like,
what the fuck was that?
I don't remember a single word that I put on the digital paper at all.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's like that. I just reread what I wrote yesterday, the day before, and I took yesterday off. The day before, and I was like, if this bit right here is repetitive, I keep trying to say the same damn thing over and over again. I had to go in and fix it before I started writing today, which I got to meet with Betty Ann today and have coffee at a coffee shop and just sit and write. So I got 2,200 words just in an hour and a half, just chilling with her, which was nice. But Tanda, I don't do that when I'm at home on my own. As soon as I hit that 16, I'm just like, I'm done. But when I'm with her, it's timed. So we sit and write for 2 hours, however much I get done in that amount of time. It's usually 2,300 words. Yeah. So I definitely missed it. I missed her. She just came back from Paris.
Ooh, nice.
Mm-hmm. I got coloring postcards, which look really, really cool. And they're going to be really, really fun to color. That's what she got me from France. And I'm super excited about them. Because I have fancy coloring pencils, just FYI, from when I was an art major 20 years ago.
You still have them?
You do. Prismacolors. They're here somewhere, I should say. I think they're in that shelf over there. Because if you can't tell, I have shelves everywhere, piles of shit. Even my desk is piles of shit because I have to do pins today. So I have to take all of my pins and put them on these things and then put them in a baggie to prepare for packing this week. I'm doing boxes go out this week. I'm waiting for one more book and a bookmark yet before I can send them out. But
Zach's a pile everything up type person, and I'm not. And we share a home office, and it drives me batty.
He would go nuts in here with me because it's not just on my desk, but look. This is all the stuff I have to pack. So just
that's what his office looks like when he was a commander.
Which, by the way, this book is so freaking pretty looking. Look at all of the foiling on that.
Ooh, that is pretty.
Monster of mine. It's even got gold in the hands like marble. It's so pretty. Debut author.
Very
I'm
nice.
excited. Because it's like a paranormal prosecutor who almost died a couple years ago and has to work with a person she thinks tried to kill her.
I'm currently reading Into Thin Air. Have you ever seen the movie Everest?
Mm-mm.
So the movie is based on the book, and it's about a group of people that went on a expedition climbing up Everest back in '96. The book was written by Rolling Stone had sent a journalist out to cover the climb. And so it was written by him, and a freak storm pulled up while a bunch of people were on the mountain. All of the and they stash oxygen tanks along the way, because once you get into the death zone, your body starts to shut down in between that altitude and summit, and you have so much time before you're just totally fucked. Well, the tanks weren't fully, they weren't full of oxygen. I forget how many people died on it. Connor had wanted to watch the movie recently, and I had never read the book. It was on my TBR. In fact, it was like the oldest entry on my TBR on Amazon. And Zach and I had been talking about the movie, and he was like, yeah, he was like, the book is like very like visceral. It's a lot more intense. It's like, well,
As they usually are.
okay. I tell him the same thing about Jurassic Park. I'm like, you still haven't read Jurassic Park. I don't want to hear it.
I hated that book so much. I'm so sorry. I wanted to kill the little girl the whole time.
I had so
It's
much
like,
fun with it.
shut the fuck up, or I'm going to kill you because you're going to get me killed. No, I have no sympathy for children in books. I killed a lot of kids in books, to be fair. So, know what that says about me. Because it's funny, because I'll tell people, oh yeah, I love to kill people in books. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, a lot of them tend to be kids. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And I'm like, that's the real world. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
I do
pretty.
try to stay with kids too in it, though, to be fair. But the monsters, they manipulate who they manipulate.
Your audio is getting very crackly, and I'm not sure if it's my phone or if it's your microphone or what is happening.
I don't know. I might be getting loud. The Italian comes out.
It happens.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you hear me okay now?
It's still crackling. I mean, I can understand you. It's just, it's very crackling. It's only crackling like when you talk. Like, very strange. So I guess I don't know if it's my phone or I don't know.
There's still a couple books that you've recommended me a while ago that I still haven't read. I haven't finished reading. One of them I can't get my hands on.
Which one?
Like the Great Wall one. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'd have to find the actual snippet I have of it somewhere. But the other one is is it Kurt Vonnegut or Chuck Wendick? The one where the dude gets his butthole sectioned to the bottom of the pool.
Oh, that's Haunted. But yeah.
Who's it by? Chuck Palahniuk?
Chuck Palahniuk, same guy that wrote Fight Club.
Yeah, I got a good chunk into that one before I was like, I don't know about that.
So that is my go-to recommendation when people ask me for the most disturbing thing I've ever read. I'm like, that's the one. Like that one. That guy's not right in the head.
I don't think he is. Either that or that's how he gets all his demons out, because that's what I do. I don't know where I even have this anymore. Where do I keep my video stuff? I clicked a weird button the other day that rearranged my entire desktop, and I don't even know what the fuck anymore.
I have a Samsung phone, and I'm sure if anybody that's watching has a Samsung phone that went through the update a few weeks ago, I don't know why, but they decided they were going to reorganize like the apps list more to look more like an iPhone. So it's all like vertically instead of like horizontal pages. and I flipping hate it. Like if I wanted an iPhone setup, I would have an iPhone. Did not want an iPhone because I freaking hate Apple products. They drive me nuts.
That's funny. I thought I had a screenshot of it, but it's not in my folder that has Becky Suggests on it.
Was it maybe the Great Zoo of China?
Maybe.
That might be why you can't get your hands on it, because you're looking for the wrong title.
No, it's me remembering versus me having not looked at it in a while. Yeah, the Great Zoo of China is unfortunately not available at my library the last I checked. I know that was one of them. Like year one from Nora Roberts, I hate to say it, I just can't stand Nora Roberts.
You know what's funny is that I liked her a lot when I was much younger. And every now and then I'll pick up one of her older books to read, just kind of out of nostalgia. I liked that she went in a different direction with year one than was her typical thing. Like, and I had started to notice a pattern that all of her female leads have the same voice and all of her male leads have the same voice. There's not a lot of differentiation there. Which is maybe why it works for a comfort read, because they all sound the same, so you don't have to figure them all out. But like that's like I take that with me when like I think about her all the time when I'm writing, because like I know as I'm writing my first draft, I'm like everybody's got the same voice because I'm just trying to punch out the story at this point. But that'll be an editing issue.
Right.
I know she's got her J.R. Ward stuff.
J.D. Robb.
J.D. Robb, right?
That my dad loves J.D. Robb. He had me read one, and I gave it a 2.
I can never get into like honestly, like I couldn't get into her so big that I can't even keep her straight from J.D. Ward. Like that's how.
J.R. Ward is another one where I'm like, about. I used to enjoy when I first started like reading heavily into, I guess, adult books. But I reread the first book in her Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and I was like,
that's being adapted right now.
I don't know. I saw it. It looks terrible.
Yeah. So to be fair, like, do you remember way back when we read A Discovery of Witches?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt like those stories weren't paced very well, but like I enjoyed the overall storyline.
Yes, I could have cut 100 pages out of it.
Yeah, I watched the show.
I did too. The first 2 seasons,
and I hated it.
It was alright.
I kind of felt like they leaned a little too hard in the broody, angsty vampire. I was like, oh my god, you are hundreds of years old. You are not a fucking teenager. Snap out of it.
She's not a child either.
Yeah, like there was this whole like immature over dramatization to it. Like
historical Twilight.
And you know how I feel about Twilight.
Twilight did some things that were, I mean, there's a reason it was popular.
They took a perfectly good demonic being and made it sparkle.
I knew that.
And made it a pedophile. So, you know, there's that.
A lot of them turn into pedophiles, unfortunately.
Yeah, but not when they're trying to be the good guy.
Fair. The thing I will say about Twilight is that the absolute lack of character in Bella made it so easy for teenagers to put their own personality in that character and kind of experience it themselves, which is really the thing that made it popular. So like having to look at it that way, because I've had to analyze it so many times, helps me understand that. And they're Mormon vampires. They are Mormon vampires.
Yeah, that's weird.
I wrote a paper about it. Mormon vampires. Because she was Mormon, God told her to write it, and like Bella was like the perfect vessel for that. Did you know that Mormon angels are cold, hard as stone, and mate for life? Kind of like they did. There's one redemption to this series, because believe it or not, Stephanie Meyer can actually write. I've read her other 2 books that had nothing to do with Twilight. And they're actually pretty good. The novella she wrote in that series, if she had only written that first so she understood her world a little bit better, I feel like it would have been a much better series, because that was probably the best one of the saga, the fifth book. It's like the 1.5 Brief Second Life of Bree Tanner, because when the vampires stepped out into the sun, they sparkled so brightly they looked like they were on fire. I'm like, if you had known that and described that in the first book, that would have been a completely different fucking story, and it would have been an awesome take on a vampire. Like, I wouldn't have even cared if they sparkled because it looked like they were on fire. You know what I mean? So it, like, actually plays with the myth, but
that still messes with my head a little bit, because now I'm picturing a bonfire that somebody threw a glitter bomb into. Like,
I mean, kind of. The person I presented that paper with, when I mentioned that, she goes, too little, too late. I'm like, fair. I mean, that is absolutely fair, because I don't think that came out till after the movies came out, and at that point, they were stripper vampires. So.
Okay, but the movies, though, like, can we just talk about how boring those were? Because, like, do you want to know when I attempted to watch the Twilight movies? Or at least the first one? When I was deployed to Iraq. I'm sure you remember how flippin' bored I was in Iraq.
Yes, I do.
Those movies bored me. In Iraq.
With nothing else to do.
Like, it was horrible. I
remember watching Donna and my mom in her kitchen, and Donna and I had both read the books, and my mom hadn't. She still hasn't. And we kept making comments about how different it was from the books, and to the point where my mom got upset at us to just let her enjoy the movie. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, Mom. This is terrible. Not as spit throwing as oh my god, what the hell is that TV show movie? It was a movie. The movie flopped. They turned it into a TV show. It's another YA. They drew little glyphs and stuff on their hands. It was a Harry Potter fan fiction. Carissa Clark.
I don't know.
Why can't I not? I'm gonna have to look this up. Give me 1 second to look this damn up. What the hell is the name of your book? No, Cassandra Clark, not Clarissa. I don't know what I'm thinking. This is me.
Clarissa Broadbent. Is that where that got?
I love Clarissa Broadbent, to be fair, but that's a whole different thing. All right, where am I going? Find me the name of the book, please. Why do you have so many books? You're not that good of a writer. I'm sorry. I'm so like bombing out. I shouldn't be doing that, but I can't find it. That really.
All right, you look for a second. I'm gonna sign out and sign back in because the crackling is getting worse. I want to see if I can fix it. I'll be right back.
Okay. Aha. Is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. And I was wrong again. It's Cassandra Clare, the plagiarist. And it's City of Bones is the name of the book.
I never read those either.
I read the first book, and then I read the first, 10 chapters of book 2, and I gave up. But I read the book, and I enjoyed the first book. And then I heard it plagiarized, and there was this whole, bullying community thing that goes, if anybody says that she did, her fans, and she bullies them about it, but it's pretty provable. Because it was originally fan fiction, where she naturally pull things from other Buffy or whatever and put it in there, leave it in there, but it didn't get changed before it got traditionally published, or the name changed. So, what I liked about the book was that the main character was really strong, and that nothing came easy to her. People weren't just handing her things as she went on her journey, as happens in a lot of YA fantasy. But in the movie, that's exactly what happened. Is that they just kept bowing down and giving her stuff. I'm like, no, you're making her a weak character. The fun part about her character was the fact that she was strong and she had to fight for these things. Yeah. So I literally was watching it with Jason and was like, I'm not going to throw a fit. I'm not. Oh, I was so upset, and I don't know if the TV show was any better, but I'm sorely upset that she writes with one of my favorite authors, and I don't think I could enjoy the books because I know she had a part in it. Because I really love Holly Black. She's also a YA writer, and the same kind of thing. She does horror, paranormal stuff, and you might know that Cool Prince is Holly Black, which is probably her most popular book. YA fairies.
I don't think it's trying. I don't think it's ringing any bells at the moment. Probably, but yeah, I can't remember anything anymore. So
I very much enjoyed that book. Just putting it out there. But they write middle grade things together that I want to go read, but I don't think I can get past that mental.
yeah.
Fuck this. I'm so judgmental and I feel really bad, but I have opinions. It's very strong ones.
I get pretty judgmental too. I don't really talk too much about my opinions as far as like, at least on public forums, as far as, you know, books or authors and their styles go, because, you know, as a debut author, I'm not trying to, you know, step on it myself, but
as important. I am salty. I've been doing this for a while and just don't give a fuck anymore.
There are some though that I'm just like, I just don't understand. Like some of the ones that have made it really big in certain forums, like I just don't get at all. Like, and I've gotten really impatient and picky, especially in the last year and a half, all things considered. And so I'm much more likely to not finish something than I used to be.
Yeah.
And I get very judgy about it very quickly. Like, no, I won't read this. Which has been unfortunate because it's happened a couple of times where I bought, because, you know, you look at the ebook and it's a much better deal in some cases to buy the whole box set than it is to buy the individual books. And so you buy the whole box set and you get through the first couple of books and you're like, I'm not reading this anymore. This is horrible.
Someone else.
Now I've got a whole bunch of ebooks that I'm never going to read.
I tend to be a, what do you call it? Book club free before. Someone else is saying my mic is getting crackly. It's interesting. I don't know why it's doing that. Took all of my stuff.
I think our joint lives are just like haunted or something, because this is our second time doing it. We've got a 2-for-0 record here with audio issues.
It is what it is. Hopefully we just like I do know that I have to give a certain distance in me getting into it because reverberation and stuff. I don't know if that's what you're hearing. But
There's some cracking and there's a bit of an echo.
Is that any better? That's a good question. No.
Nope.
Boom. That's what I get for trying to use my fancy mic. I don't know if it will automatically change if I unplug it.
And now I can't hear you at all.
It muted me and it made me put a different microphone. Is that one better?
That's much better. Yeah, there's no crackling or echo at all.
Well, I will save that for when I film my videos then, because apparently the live thing doesn't like it. So, thank you, Amy.
I was just going to sit here and deal with it, but...
Oh, goodness. Well, boo. That's all right. My poor Yeti. You go back to where you belong, which is over here.
I have to avoid the trap of buying the things for videos because I don't have a lot of desk space anymore. I used to have a big old desk. I do not have a big old desk anymore.
I love that. He says the previous one sounded like a demon. I like that a lot.
It kind of did.
I can definitely go into the demon. I was doing that earlier. The evil stepmom.
Yes.
I've got the glasses for it and everything. I still remember, I don't know if you remember, AJ used to do that with his hair. He'd make demon horns out of it way back in high school. Oh my God, how old I feel thinking about how long ago that was.
We're not going to talk about that though.
No, should we talk about writing stuff? I'm about to have my like 3-on-1 sex scene in my book soon. That's gonna be fun. They're always fun to write.
I think I'm mostly done with the spice in my book. I think I've got maybe one more scene I might write, just kind of depending. But I'm also given the point in the book that they're at, I'm not sure that that's going to be the appropriate response to preceding events.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might, but it might not be.
But to be fair, in fantasy and epic fantasy, where it pops up is where it pops up, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it quite is the appropriate whatever, but that's how real life happens. So
yeah, it's just immediately following an intensely personal trauma.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen.
So it's like at that point, like it doesn't feel like I don't know, because I'm just like, I feel like in some ways it might just be like putting it in there just to put it in there, but I don't know.
So one of the things I like about sex scenes, I don't know if I've said this already, is that if done properly and not just thrown in there for spice, it will create a connection between the two characters and create depth in their relationship. Yep. So happening after a trauma, I mean, again, that's a very realistic response for some people trying to soothe trauma. So, and can help people who are trying to be there for you, like that, again, deepens that connection. So it just really depends.
Or even just providing a distraction for a short time.
Mm-hmm. So mine is a very basic plot line. So, you know, it can destroy relations too. That is true. It can. I don't know if that's your intention or if those are your two.
So they're my male and female leads, but the thing is that they've known each other since childhood, and it's always been a very tumultuous relationship. And the situation that they're in requires them to have developed balance between the two of them. And at this point in the story, they're not completely there yet. So
it's going to be one of those hiccups.
It could be, yeah. It could be a hiccup, or it could be one more connecting piece.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just kind of depending on, you know, how I play it. I feel like I think if I do it right, it could even serve both purposes, but that's a little bit trickier than I had intended for that particular scene to be. I don't know. We'll see.
I hear you. I just got to write the scene where the three men find out about each other. The one kind of knew.
There's always one that at least kind of knows. Like,
yeah, so this is the one that's like the friend too. Like they're doing stuff together, but they're also like really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's also her professor in this. And then the other two don't really know. But two of them she's already had issues with. One, she met his ex and he like completely shut down instead of standing up for her. And the other one was like fetishizing her fatness. She called him out on it. The last one's just like a sweet, dour dude who's just like, what the fuck? So they're going to talk amongst each other.
You gotta have the cinnamon roll in there somewhere.
Right. You're going to talk amongst each other, and then they're all going to go after her like none of them want to lose her. That's how I'm doing it. Sometimes I make them that the three of them have done this before, and so this is not a very big deal. But, oh, we got a question. If Becky doesn't mind, why is there a rolled map in the back?
Oh, so that was actually not ours. That was my husband's grandfather. When he retired, he was when he completely retired, he was the chief financial officer for the parent company of Smirnoff Vodka. And this ginormous flippin' map was one of his, thank you for your time at the company type gifts when he retired. A few years ago, in fact, like right as COVID was becoming a thing, the grandparents were in the process of selling their rather large home in a private community in Savannah and moving into more of a smaller community up in Atlanta. So they were getting rid of a bunch of stuff. And my husband is absolutely a history and travel geek. And so he wanted to keep the map, and particularly because, like, if you look at the map, it's old enough that some of it is no longer accurate. So that is my husband's hand-me-down map that somehow I have to hang in every flipping house that we live in. And it's a colossal pain in the ass, and no matter how careful I am with the measurements, I always get it just a little too high on the wall. Every time. Because the hanging hooks are not like in the top corners. They're not in the middle either, because they're kind of like 2/3 of the way up the side.
Frustrating. How many times have you moved now? Can you even count anymore?
Starting when?
Oh God, that's a good question.
When I left New York, or when I was stationed in Texas? Where are we going with this? Because
it's a good question. I was thinking by the time you guys got married, but
so in the time that we got married in Texas, so it was our first steady station together. We left Texas and we went to Fort Benning, Georgia. From Benning, we went to Colorado Springs. Then we went back to Benning. After Benning, we went to North Carolina, and then we came here to Monterey, and now we're getting ready to move to DC. But that doesn't include any of the little inner city moves that we've done a couple of those. So like in Texas, we had a rental house and then we bought a house. So we moved in to a new house there. In Alabama, we were in a rental house, and the landlord was really shady. So we moved after the first year. The second time we were in Alabama, we were renting a house, and the same week that all the COVID shutdowns happened, the homeowners decided that they were going to sell and give us a 60-day notice to move, which was insane. So we moved into base housing while Zach was off at Ranger School. Yeah, lots of moving.
No. I would like to be in this house, but
we'll be in DC for a year, and then we're off to Tokyo. So
I'm so excited for you. And she said it looks good though. Not used to seeing huge maps in a house, which is true. I'm not used to seeing it.
One thing, it's not the only map.
How many do you have? Didn't you have one that had pins in it, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I have two of them. Okay, because I don't check this because I bought him a world travel map that's about this big. And then as we were looking at it, because he decided what he wanted to do is track like the individual family members, but there were 6 of us. So I bought him a bigger one for just the United States, and we started tracking that. But those are both in the bedroom. And then Taylor has decided she wants a map for her birthday.
Okay.
Here it was a globe, but this year it's a map. Connor gets a kick out of this map, though, because he'll climb up on the back of this and he'll ask me all sorts of questions about all the places that we could end up when we're in Asia. And so we spend a lot of time going over it. Recently, it was, where is Everest and how far is that from Tokyo, and can we go see it? And if we go see it, can we climb it?
No. It's so dangerous. No. Adventurous kids, though.
Yes. Taylor still has no fear of anything.
She's young enough to not have any fear of anything.
I wish she would just have a little bit more fear of me. That would be great.
Right?
She does not fear me at all. But yeah, no, maps have become a thing. We bought one of the push pin travel maps for my in-laws last year for Christmas because they travel a lot. So
me too, but always to the same place. Home.
And my in-laws, they travel all over the place. But my father-in-law's smart about it though, because he can always find a way to tie it into some sort of a conference or a meeting or an interview, and then he just gets to write the whole trip off. So yeah, whatever. But,
Ooh,
so yeah, lots of maps.
I do write books. I have written a lot of books. I think I have 30 something or so out there. I ghostwrite for a living. So when I'm talking about the book I'm working on currently in very vague terms, it's because I'm contracted to write books for a specific person. But I also write vampire. So I write reverse harem for work, and then vampires, werewolves, erotica stuff. Not all together all the time. I have 2 pen names. One's erotica and one's like just normal urban fantasy with a tiny bit of like romance and sex in it. I
you need a murder board just to keep track of who you are and what you're writing at any given time.
Right. I do think it's funny that I read my completed series, my erotica, or steamy paranormal, however you want to phrase it, because there is an actual story in there. The 14-book series to my mother is part of my process. She's one of my beta readers, but she's dyslexic, so I read it out loud to her. And it was interesting getting through all of those sex scenes. And after a while, it was just like, oh, there's that word again. Well, I'm like, she uses her nails a lot. I'm like, well, it is the same character. So, like, it's kind of her thing. She's a wolf. She wants to, like, scratch and bite at them. You know. Sorry.
I told you my mom's reaction to my spicy scenes, right?
I don't know your mom's reaction.
Okay, so when I told her I was going to start writing this book and I started talking to her about it, she said she couldn't wait to read it. And I had to point out to her, hey, this is not a safe for work type of book, Ma. And she was like, I don't care. I want to read it. I was like, okay, but I need you to understand something before you get into reading this. I was like, now it's in there because it adds to the story, but keeping in mind that I chose this style of book because sex sells and kink sells better.
Mm-hmm.
And she still wants to read it. I'm like, okay, don't share it with your husband, please. I don't need my dad reading this. Thank you.
Yeah, Dad hasn't read my erotica stuff, but he'll read my other stuff, even though it's got a little bit of the kinky in there. Not a whole lot, though. But
I did think a little bit about, like, during the editing process, making a copy and taking out all of the spies and making that for the family copy.
That'd be so funny. Oh, my goodness. It'd be so funny. See, I don't know if Dad skips that stuff in the books that I write or not, but Dad and I talk about it often enough, like in real life, that I don't.
Yeah. Your parents have always been pretty open and not afraid to talk about the squidgy subjects, though. So
mostly, Mom was kind of prudish growing up, but Dad would always tell me about things other than Mom, which is pretty much my line. I'm like, I don't want to hear about you and Mom, but anything else is game. That's fine.
Yeah.
It was fun learning about Dan. It's like, all right, Mom. But, having the husband I have, it's hard to not be perverted a lot of the time. Doing anything, really. Yeah. That reminds me of something I accidentally said in class one time, which was just like one of those bombs that I shouldn't have said in class. But to be fair, I was teaching South Park. And it was the one where they lose the internet and they go west to try to find the internet. And one of the dads, I can't remember what his name is, breaks into where they keep the internet so he can find internet porn and jack off. And like, it's when they find him, the place is so covered in it that he's like, it was a ghost. It's his plasma. whatever after the fact. And we were talking about the relationship between the wife and the husband. And I said, like, offhandedly something like, well, apparently she needs to get kinkier, something like that, to keep his attention. And the whole room just stopped and looked at me, and I'm like, anyways, what were you saying, honey? Just like, showing my colors here and the kind of things that I read and write. Yeah, okay.
I had Emma. For those of you watching, Emma is my 20-year-old daughter. She lives in North Carolina. I had her cracking up one day because I was talking about all the reference books I bought, and I showed you last time this stack that I have over here to my right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think I showed you. These. Those stay in the Amazon bags because I have very curious smaller children. Wanting me to pick him up from school because he doesn't want to stay for the after school program. So, like I said, sex sells, kink sells better. But I am not, and have not for a long time, been part of any sort of a kink scene. And so I didn't want to be ill-informed because I am not trying to be the next 50 Shades of Grey.
Ooh, I have a connection for that too. Nice.
That's half of them.
Yeah, I just write whatever feels natural for my characters at the time, to be honest. Well, it might not be all safe, but whatever.
These will kind of probably, I think, be more of part of the editing process than the writing process. Going back through and just kind of looking like, did I keep this in line with what I was trying to do with, with their characters for this purpose, whatever, but these will be for a later book.
What are these things exactly? Are they just like about the relationship thing, like psychology?
So like these are like shibari, which is like Japanese knot tying. Another shibari in suspension. So that's the cover of that one.
You know, a series you might be interested in reading that does really well with these things is Bree's Submission. It's like a 22-book series. I've only read 2 of them. But she's literally going to a submission school to teach them all about the different kinks and figuring out what kinks they like and what they don't like and how to use their safe word and how to learn to trust and when to not trust and those kinds of things.
What's been interesting is trying to work in some of the modern sensibilities regarding kink and how it gets utilized between characters without running into the Tiffany problem.
Into the what problem?
You've never heard of the Tiffany problem?
Uh-uh.
So the Tiffany problem is where if you're writing something historical or something that falls into the fantasy realm, but you're kind of in a more medieval or some past sort of type of society that doesn't line up with the technologies and the slang and the way we interact today. But even if it's something that was used at an equivalent time period in history, it may not be well known that it was used during that time period of history. So people think of it as being more modern. And it's called the Tiffany problem because a perfect example of this is the name Tiffany, which was known for being used, if I remember correctly, it was early medieval France. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But most people associate it with being a very modern name. So if you're reading a historical novel or if you're reading a fantasy that has more of a medieval or Renaissance time period sort of bent to it, and you come across the name Tiffany, it's going to throw you out of the setting because your mind doesn't recognize it as something that belongs there.
Okay. Gotcha.
Which
never heard it described that way before, but I like that.
Yeah. So Rebecca Yarros actually pulled one really well in Onyx Storm.
Oh, yeah.
There's a character, and most people, including the narrators who did the audiobooks, thought that the character's name was Theophany because it's Theophanie, I think. Theophany. But if you go back to the original spellings and how things were pronounced at the time when that particular name came about, it's Tiffany. So she literally threw the Tiffany problem in there on purpose and couched it in a joke.
That is fantastic. That is so fantastic. I have to pee. You're going to have to give me a second. Too much tea.
So yeah, while Alicia's doing that, that's the map. I don't know where all of you guys are from. I currently live in the Monterey Bay area. Give you a show real quick of what we look like here and why it's so bright in my office. So this is the view from my second story office. So that's Monterey Bay right there. And you can't really see it because it's kind of foggy over there, but the mountains are over there. So this is where I live for the moment. I'm going to miss having this view when we're gone, but I will very much be excited to be back on beaches where I can get in the water and not freeze my ass off. The water here is very, very cold. But it is very easy to live in a place that has scenery like we have here and feel inspired. I don't know how much of an audience we have right now, but I figured I'd keep talking while you were gone.
Works for me. Share anything fun?
I shared the view from the office window. Have I ever showed you that before?
And you have to do it again.
That's fine. I
It's a good thing I pee
though.
fast, right?
So that's Monterey Bay right there.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so we're at this really cool time of year when if it's a day where it's not super foggy, right behind that tree that's sticking up, the sun goes down into the water right there.
Oh, cool.
So we get absolutely incredible sunsets, which is always fun.
My cat just burrowed in my blanket beside my chair. Like she meowed at me and then crawled right in it and started kneading like underneath. I got a
What's your current count for cat?
5. And I have one here and I have one there. I don't have one up on the box right now. That's interesting. I usually do. You usually have 2 or 3 cats in the room at any time. So, are we doing writing today or?
We can. Give me just a second. Let me text your godson back real quick.
Okay. I don't have any writing to do, but I might do some editing because I need to work on that. God, that's bright. Why are you so bright? How do I turn you down? That doesn't work.
Refresh my memory. What personal project are you working on right now? That's your reverse harem, right?
My reverse harem is my actual work right now.
Oh, it's your actual work. Okay.
Yes. My personal one is so you know Rhea's story?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know the offshoot of that story, the Loving Red one, where there's Little Red and the wolf and the bear.
I have the first Loving Red on my bookshelf downstairs.
Awesome. There's a prequel, which is the bear and her getting together and thrusting her into that world to begin with. But then this book was supposed to be book 3 or book 2 or however you want it, the final book. But this is the one that's 110,000 words after the first book's only 40,000. So I'm splitting this last book. I wrote it in 2. So that's what I'm currently rereading it to make sure everything sounds okay before I go to my actual editing. I need to read it out loud to my mother. And I meant to do that while I was there. That's not what happened. So, Although I will say, I do think I got a lot more gray hair while I was there. Just saying.
I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's not helpful. How do I turn the brightness of my screen down?
Don't you have a button on your keyboard?
There we go. Not anymore. That keyboard broke. My one for my Apple broke, so I have a different one that doesn't have the same keys. I had to find it in the display thing. I just didn't know where my display was. So I think I'm not quite as bright as I was before.
Apple product.
I have so many Apple products. What drives me crazy is that my messages on my computer won't send
Mhm.
things to you, but my laptop and my phone and my iPad will, and I do not understand what the fuck the difference is.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I asked about what you were working on as a personal project right now because I was going to ask you what's your favorite line that you've written so far.
Oh my goodness, I sent that to Jason not that long ago. It made me laugh so hard. Hold on, let's see if I can find it again. Because it's one of those characters that has a very distinct voice that just makes
Mhm.
me giddy as all hell. Because it's Brad, which is the one that's got the eidetic memory that they call the professor, because he has
Uh-huh.
a tendency to lecture people. And because he's got such a good memory, he can see patterns and stuff. And there, let me see if I can find this comment. My husband and I text far, far too often. So it's buried in here somewhere. Ooh, can I search? Is there a way to do that? You want me to? No, no. Boo.
Should be if you're you're not on an Apple
I'm on my.
keyboard.
No, I'm on my phone because it's not showing up on my messages on my computer. I think I've been away from it for too long. It'd probably be easier to find in my actual document. Let me get there. I am so all over the place. Can you tell? It's the natural state of Alicia right here.
I'm used to it.
Yeah. I did just get to, I'm almost at 54,000 words in my work project right now, though.
Nice.
Yeah, it's due on the 10th, so it's got to get done, as it were. So at least 60,000 words by the 10th and edited.
I need to really pack in some words this week and next week because I have my surgery scheduled for the 18th. And I have been told by my surgeon that they're probably going to immobilize my legs for at least a week.
Not fun.
So I'm not going to want to like sit at my desk, you know. I'm not sure I need to be writing when I've got like nerve blocks or painkillers going on anyway, but
I like to write when I'm high, so. Anyways, I found it. So the girl that he's like whatever with, I have their story written too, and I haven't edited that yet. But she's a soul. Her magic is soul magic, so like she can see your soul, she can play with magics and death and whatnot that people can't see a lot of the time. And so she's trying to get through a barrier to get to Kaya, who's been kidnapped. And he goes, "One more time," he said to Shy in a knowing way. "How do you know?" Her back straightened in indignation. "Called a hypothesis formed by experience and observation. You're guessing." "Yes, but I am excellent at guessing." It's just one of those moments that made me laugh. And I was like, yes. Because you can hear his voice so distinctly in that. "Yes, but I'm excellent at guessing."
nice.
Yeah.
That
I
sounds
call
like
him like
Jason
my
to me.
Sherlock character a lot of the time.
That sounds very much like Jason to me.
I mean, there's a little bit of Jason in everybody that I write, to be fair. Can't get around it. He's my muse. Oh, one of my bosses texted me. That's always nerve-wracking. Not really. Okay. Sending me tracking numbers for something she sent. Yes, my bookmarks.
Did I tell you I was thinking about getting into making cyanotype bookmarks?
What? No.
I was thinking about, I don't know. I can't remember when this popped into my head. Probably sometime in the last week and a half when I've been like half brain dead. I was thinking about making cyanotype bookmarks to sell while we're in DC.
What are those?
So cyanotypes,
Is
I
that one
have
of
them.
the photography things that you were doing?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't sometimes
The blue
when I
one.
hear a word versus see a word, it doesn't connect well, but now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the blue ones. Because I can make those without needing a dark room, so. Although there is a community dark room in DC, but I don't know if they'll let me do alternative processes there. Oh,
well. I wonder about Japan. Do they have community dark rooms and stuff?
Tokyo is the biggest city on the planet. They probably do, but I don't know if that would require me to bring my husband to translate shit for me either. I don't know.
How long are you going to be over there?
We don't know. So there's the first year in Tokyo, which is the 1 year of in region training. So it's his last year in the training pipeline to become a foreign area officer. During that year, we'll be expected to travel around Japan, but not just Japan. He'll be expected to plan visits to other embassies in other countries in the Indo-PACOM region. And, if possible, me and the kids are supposed to go with him. So how much of that we get to do is entirely based on how much funding he gets while we're there. And then after that, he'll get his first assignment as a FAO, which his marketplace opens up later this year, I think. And then he'll go in and basically kind of list like, these are all the jobs that I want in this order. And then his branch manager goes in and kind of shortlists them for interviews, like for 3 or 4 of them or however many. And then he'll interview, and then based on the results of the interviews, we end up going places. So we know what the assignments are supposed to be available for that movement cycle. And we've looked over them and we've sort of prioritized where we want to be. So we're kind of prioritizing some of the jobs in Japan. There's one in a country called East Timor that we're looking into. There's one at the embassy in Nepal that we're looking at. But it's basically like our prioritization is a lot of the overseas assignments, and then Hawaii assignments, and then DC assignments. We will see.
I feel like that's your life. We'll find out when we find out.
Yeah, pretty much. It's very much a like the whole thing, particularly in the FAO branch, is very much just roll with it and be flexible and hurry up and wait. Like
sounds like the military world. Yeah, that's something that Jason says so often. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and get it done. You don't have enough time to get it done the first time, but you have time enough to do it again.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Should we set a timer for how long we are going to work, or?
Sure.
Do you ever set timers for working, or do you just kind of sit and do until you can't no more?
They at that part. I usually just turn on my study music and just kind of roll with it.
Okay. I'm going to do a 20-minute timer to start with. So before we check in, take a break, if you want to put on some music in the background, feel free.
Okay.
It might come out here, and that's completely fine with me. Ooh. All right, we are going.
What did you do? So what did you do?
I threw my phone, as I do. My hands don't work and things go flying. This is how my life is. Timer went off. Did I scare you?
A little bit. I was not expecting that to happen so soon.
20 minutes goes by fast. I got through a whole chapter and a half. Editing, reading, sort of.
Got in just over 400 words.
That's good for 20 minutes.
I'm not happy with the verbiage, but that can be fixed. That's not.
Just gotta get it out first. Yeah. I think I need a snack in potentially a bowl. I think I might go do that. You gonna go back to writing?
I should probably go change over laundry and figure out what the hell I'm feeding my family for dinner.
I made 2 things at the same time this afternoon. 2 soups. Chicken noodle soup from scratch and turkey tomato orzo.
Yesterday we had one of the Cub Scouts had a birthday party, and we were there for a lot longer than we had intended to be. And neither one of us had taken anything out for dinner. So we wound up going out for dinner, and I was like, well, let's go try something new. And it wound up being horrendously expensive because it's California. And
going out's expensive anyways.
Yeah. Everything here is super expensive though. And then I don't know if Zach took anything out before he went to work today, but I have not taken anything out of the freezer.
So there's that. I always take some, well, I can't say I always, I most of the time take something out. And then sometimes it goes bad in the fridge waiting for me to cook it.
That has happened to us a few times.
Which is why I made 2 soups today, because one was going to go bad.
See, the thing is, like, neither one of us likes doing, like, the normal daily cooking. He usually does most of it because I handle pretty much everything else. But trying to find the energy to think of something, make sure it's prepped, make sure it gets cooked, and then knowing that neither one of the kids are going to eat it.
That's frustrating.
And trying to walk that fine line between, trying to force our children to eat relatively healthy and just making sure they eat something.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Connor, because that kid, he will starve himself out of spite if we don't make him what he wants. He is so picky. And I blame Zach, because I was not a picky eater.
I'm not picky either. Although stubborn.
Well, the funny thing is Zach's not picky anymore, but he was as a kid. So I get to tell him all the time, this is your fault. You did this.
See, both my boys are picky. I mean, Jason's an adult, so but he doesn't like that word because he wouldn't be picky if he could help it. But he's allergic to so many things.
That's not his fault. Like, no. Connor's not allergic to anything.
He's they both picky. Have texture things too.
So that's the thing. Like, I try to ask him all the time, like, do you not like the taste? Do you not like the texture? Like, trying to get that kid to just orate what it is that bothers him about things is a Herculean task. He just won't do it.
Yeah. I should probably take off the writing sprint portion of that banner thing. That's helpful. Because we are done. Yeah. I had that problem with the girl most of the time. Alex was easy to feed compared to her. He actually is not that hard to feed. He likes a lot of fruits and vegetables. He doesn't like sauce.
Connor likes a lot of fruits. He doesn't like a lot of vegetables. He doesn't like a lot of meat. He does not like cheese.
Person doesn't like cheese.
Yeah, it's really weird too, because like when he was a toddler, the kid would eat anything I put in front of him. So long as it came up on my plate, he would eat it. And then one day, I swear to God, it was like he woke up one day and was like, no more peasant, and just would not have anything to do with chicken or steak or hamburger, just like nothing. He just would not eat anything. He would eat chicken nuggets and spaghetti, but for a long time, he would not eat sauce on spaghetti. He wouldn't eat, like if we bought pizza, he wouldn't have any toppings. He would pick off every little smattering of cheese and just not eat it.
It sounds like my nephew, who's 4.5 and will eat Italian bread and chocolate.
Connor's got his handful of things that he will eat. And that like he's gotten very much, like for a while he wanted cheeseburgers, but it was only ever like McDonald's or Burger King. Now he's got a wider palate for cheeseburgers. But that was weird because that didn't happen until after we lost Hannah. And Hannah's favorite food was cheeseburgers. So I don't know if that's I don't know. But
psychological thing.
Yeah. So cheeseburgers, chicken nuggets, pizza, which now he'll eat pepperoni pizza with the cheese on it. Breadsticks. And then like snacky type things.
Wonder if he'd like tofu. He doesn't like meat.
No. He does not like tofu. Oddly enough, you know what he does like? California rolls.
Like sushi. I was just going to ask
sushi. That particular sushi.
That particular sushi. Not like me. I like a lot of
sashimi. He doesn't like sashimi, but California rolls. I can never do it. I like there's a place here that's owned and ran by a Japanese gentleman. It's called Itchy Ricky. And they have like 3 different vegetarian rolls on their menu. And those are pretty good. So anytime we go there for, when Zach gets craving for sushi, But the funny thing is, like, sushi is not really a thing in Japan. Like, it's like a convenience store. It's like, so you go eat at 7-Eleven when you're bored. You don't go to a restaurant and get sushi in Tokyo.
I love sushi so much. The boys keep telling me I'm going to get worms. If that's the way I go. That's the way I go.
It's like...
Do you eat the fried ones? Because the fried ones are pretty good.
I don't like tempura. I don't like a lot of like battered and fried stuff because the oil is like doesn't sit well for my stomach.
Fair.
But he did get into onigiri. So he has his Japanese teachers will bring in onigiri every now and then, and they'll, it's just rice balls filled with various different things. So we've had onigiri a few times. But.
I make tuna once. I have the
tuna.
And I bought sushi rice. I even have a roller thing.
So with onigiri, you're not using it's not like a roller, like a sushi roll. It's like you can make it in ball, you can make it in like a triangle. Like
yeah, you can stuff it with things.
Yeah, I keep telling Zach we need to do one with like stuff with like berries or something. Like
it'd be
like a fruit one.
I make tuna balls with the. I break up the seaweed into it.
Gotcha.
And then the sesame's in it and whatnot. I've looked up so many different ways of making it that I just kind of hodgepodge my way through it.
We were sitting here in the office like last night. Okay, look, we have lived here for 1.5 years. Okay, we were sitting here last night, and he goes, "When did we get a Japanese cookbook?" I was like, "We got this. You specifically got this for Christmas, before we moved out here from your grandparents. Still in the plastic."
Is that going to come in handy?
I don't know. So what's fun though is that like most apartments in Tokyo don't have a lot of kitchen space because most people don't eat at home because it's cheap to eat out. Now there are places where you can go in Tokyo where you can blow a whole ton of money eating out, but for the most part, most restaurants are fairly cheap.
And you like a lot of street food too, right?
Yeah. So the expensive thing is like produce because they want all of their produce to look absolutely perfect at all times. So produce gets expensive. But
give me the imperfect stuff for cheap, please. It
right.
still eats as good.
You know? So I grow it myself, but I kill every plant I own.
Right. Me too. Jason's really good at it, but that's just like another thing I'd be making him do.
It's so funny too, because we were talking about that at the beginning of May. And then for my birthday, his grandparents sent me one of those hydroponic plant kits. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. It's great. It's really cute. I started it. My basil quit growing. My parsley's growing, and the dill hasn't sprouted at all.
I eat a lot of parsley.
Fresh. It's like you fill the tank, and every 2 weeks you add plant food, and then it's just on automatic lights, and you're supposed to leave it alone, and they're supposed to grow, and 2 of them are no longer growing.
Is there a specific kind of water you're supposed to be giving it, or food, or whatever?
So I put the food in that came with the kit, and it just said fill with water, so I did. I don't know.
I always wonder about like city water and what's in it versus like I have hard water because it's well water, so I got a lot of minerals and shit that we have to filter out before we do anything with it. Yeah, so I always think about that kind of stuff. You know.
I remember. I don't know if you remember when my dad's parents lived out in a trailer in a farm like 30 minutes away, like go down River Road and out past like Beeville and all that crap. And yeah, they had well water, but they didn't have any filters or anything. And I would hate it because unless she happened to have a frozen thing of concentrated orange juice in the freezer, we were all drinking water for dinner every night. And like I hated the smell of it so bad.
Especially if there's something in it. Yeah. I like the taste of our water, even unfiltered, but we filter it for the most part. And then I went home to New York and I was like, I can taste the chlorine in this. Even filtered, I could taste the difference. Which made my coffee taste different. But then you get the plastic in your water. So this is
it's Poland Spring. Poland Spring has always been my favorite bottled water.
I like the.
I don't sell it out here. I have to order it online to get it. But
there's one that I do like, but I don't like plastic. So
there's another one that I like. It's called Voss, VOSS. Pretty good.
I say that as my coffee lid has plastic on it. but the heat in the cup is metal.
These have been my thing lately. I quit soda. Did I tell you that?
Yay!
I quit soda. So these sparkling ice flavored waters, these have been my thing.
I can't have any of those things.
I'm quitting this too.
Good deal. I had quit smoking while I was in New York, and I came home and I started again.
Well, so I went to go order myself more vape juice the other day and found out that I can't get vape juice in the state of California anymore.
Really? At all?
Yeah. So I have made this one tank has lasted me like 3 days so far, and I have just a little bit left in the bottle, and when that's gone, that's it.
Part of me is wondering why, but also good.
Not bad that I'm quitting.
Right.
But I'm really agitated because I'm quitting as a result of government interference with what I do with my body.
Right. That's frustrating in many, many ways.
Oops.
That's definitely not good for you.
I mean, I've been planning on quitting for a while. I guess it's just the push that I needed because I don't want my breathing or my knees or my issues to be what holds us back when we're off exploring other parts of the world. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, and we're going to Brazil this winter. So, I mean, I think my husband's home.
Well, it's a good time to get off of here, isn't it?
Yeah, go switch over the laundry and figure out dinner, and then I gotta go pick up the kids.
Fun times.
Yes.
Are we doing this next week? I don't know. We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah. I don't think. Let me pull up my calendar real quick. Yeah, I don't have anything next Monday, so.
Okay. I have Monday morning meetings every Monday and Thursday and Friday. So.
Can do whenever. I'm pretty open next week.
You free Tuesday?
Ooh, I am free Tuesday, and I will have new shark teeth next week too.
Mm.
Connor and I are going to Bakersfield to hunt shark teeth in the middle of the desert.
In the middle of the desert.
Come home with more of these.
Nice.
I made a Van Dyke Brown out of this. It was really cool.
Do you want to plan for Tuesday morning? It'd be morning for you, morning-ish for me.
Yeah.
10?
The kids will be out of school.
Done. You want to do 10 your time? Noon my time?
Sounds good.
All right. Tuesday. If you're here, you heard it here first. All right. I'm going to go be crazy somewhere else.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.